I could have known, one beyond my wildest dreams. Maybe that road could have carried me to streets of gold, but things aren't always as they seem. Looking back on all the chances that I missed, some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist, I wondered what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known, that would have kept me from the one I had today. Except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known, that would have kept me from the one I had today.
Robertson County. This is 1100 WSGI. I'm back. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm back in the city. It's weird when I'm not doing this. It's so strange. I took last week off. Thank you, Lee Marie, my sweet friend, for taking care of all the things. Taking care of I'm ready to do it for me. I appreciate it so much.
Thank the Lord that I've got more than that. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing,
I noticed that.
I won't forget the lessons that I don't deserve. Because one street over there's a life I could have known, would have kept me
Hi, everybody.
from one I love today.
Billy's been in here. We've got
One street over there's a life I
lighting
could
up
have
everything,
Does,
making
I
it
can
prettier.
tell.
Things
So,
aren't
anyway,
all
how you doing?
Good.
Good.
Good so far. Nothing really changed yet.
So if you're not in the know, when he was in here last time, Kaleb Stratton is in the house. And I can't call him Wildlife Resource Officer because he's got a different title, which he announced last time before even I think your mom knew, right?
Right, that's right.
And I was like, you better call your mama because you're going to be in trouble if you
She
don't
found
call
out a
your
few days
mama.
later. It's okay.
Yeah. So what is the title? Because I know I don't have it right.
Essentially the same thing, but I'm just a District 21 sergeant now. So that's our district up here in Middle Tennessee.
Isn't that cool?
So yeah.
District 21 Sergeant. Hey,
Yep.
Sergeant.
Yep,
How you
that's
doing?
me. Yep.
Isn't that fun?
I got to get all my stuff changed over now. That's the worst part is, all your shirts and jackets, they all are one thing, and then you got to change them all over now. So.
Oh, it's just so tough.
I know.
So you got to have the
You get the
yellow.
gold now,
You got the
yeah,
gold.
yeah.
You got the yellow. That's not yellow. It's gold.
That's right.
You get the gold emblem that says Sergeant.
That's
so,
right. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How are things in your world?
Good. Getting a little busy. Deer season's, bow season's in full swing. And
People are wanting to come kill my little pet deer, and I don't
I
want
see
them
you took
messing-
pictures of them. I saw that.
I've got like a little family. There's some little twins, and I know they're gonna come hunting. I love meat. I'm a meat eater. I don't eat a ton of it, but I like looking at my deer. And I know if we don't manage them. They'll become a nuisance.
Yeah.
I understand all those things.
Well, but some people like them being a nuisance. Like you like them coming up and eating stuff,
I
probably. You know?
do. Well,
As long as it's not your garden, probably.
yeah, last time I had a garden, they destroyed it,
Yeah.
and I kind of gave up on that. But if I ever have a garden again, they're gonna make me angry if I'm, checking out something and about to pick it, and then
Yeah.
they get to it before I do, which happens
Right.
a lot. But anyway, we're talking with Kaleb Stratton and about all the things that are going on with Wildlife Resource. Let me unpack a couple of things real quick, though. This is Law Enforcement Day, so we try to alternate between Sheriff's Office and Chief's Office. So Chief Head is out of town, so he could not come. So we reached out to Josh Heinerman this weekend to see if he could come because it is Bus Safety Week. And that's federally, I believe it is. And they are so short. They need bus drivers, y'all. If you want to drive a bus, they need you. My husband's the security and safety coordinator. Josh Heinerman, of course, is the director of our transportation department. And they're all driving this morning because they got so many people calling out. So
Oh, wow.
Mr. Heinerman was not able to come in. But I've got Bill Jones going to slide in here at 7:30, and we're going to talk a little bit about his memories of school buses and things like that. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with the Bus Safety Week. And we may, if we end up with another open slot, I may try to still see if I can get, Mr. Heinerman in here. And also, too, I mentioned there's a couple of things going on we need to touch base with, and we'll get to you in just a minute, Kylie. we need to touch base with Sean Elmore because Open Door Pregnancy and Resource Center, the big chili cook-off is on Thursday night.
No.
And Devin O'Day and I are hosting that, and oh my goodness, she's my radio sister. We worked together in Nashville for many, many, many years, and so it's going to be fun. Devin and I kind of hanging out and getting to host that, and it's 70s theme. So, we're going to have to dress like we're in the 70s, if I ask you, what do you think you need to wear if you're going to dress like the 70s?
Oh gosh, I'm probably the wrong one to ask.
But I grew up in the 70s.
Yeah.
And I think I misdefine it. I had kids, I'm a sophomore I'm one of the sophomore class sponsors at Greenbrier. And so they were supposed to dress in the 70s, and they all several of them showed up looking like hippies. And
Did they dress in the 90s maybe?
yeah, but they really, it's not the hippie look. It's more, honestly, signature 70s would be disco. Ugh.
You're going to ask, is that the bell-bottom era? Is that when the bell-bottoms
it really
were
is.
around?
Well, that was in the 60s too, but that kind of carried over. But
Yeah.
the disco era was in the 70s. And so, you know what I've got for my 70s outfit? I ordered me a Leonard Skinner t-shirt.
There you go.
That's what I was. I wasn't a disco, but I got me a Leonard Skinner t-shirt, and I'm going to wear my FFA coat. Because
Yeah.
that's what
Oh,
I
yeah.
wore in the 70s.
Yeah.
And you don't have to tease your big hair and all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
So come dressed in the 70s and come join us for the chili cook-off. And then tomorrow night, I'm going to be at Billy S. Hobbs Community Center in White House for the forum that they're having. I guess it's their mayoral forum. I need to probably get up to date on that, but they're having a reception at 6:30, and then we're going to have the forum at 7. Community center or community members are going to ask those questions, and I'm going to help host that. So be sure and join us there tomorrow night. Kaleb Stratton's in the house. He is District Sergeant, Wildlife Resource Officer. Now, that means you've got to hire somebody else to take over this 24/7 on-call person.
Well, that's still
Right?
me. That's still me.
That's still you for a
we
minute.
have hired somebody.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I say hired.
it
He was already
public?
hired. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But essentially what we've done is we've made Robertson County a 2-officer county now.
Okay.
Because, it just makes sense because I live here. I'm from here.
Right.
People still know me. People are still going to call me, and that's okay.
Sure.
But Jason Shapton is who got the job for Robertson County. Jason Shapton he's been a part-time officer with us for over 5 years. He became full-time last year. He's been in law enforcement for over 20 years.
Okay.
Here in Robertson County, he was a sergeant at White House PD.
Okay.
He's been an SRO for the sheriff's office,
Okay.
a deputy at the sheriff's office. So
Student Resource Officer.
he's done a lot. So
Mm-hmm. Well, is he the gentleman? I don't know if you recall this, but we were at something for Judge Joel Perry, and it was an event over at BS Brew Works.
Yeah, he
And
was with me.
Was that him?
Yeah,
okay.
that was him. Yep.
I thought that was who
Yep, that's him.
you're talking about. Okay,
Yep.
very good. Well, tell him he needs to come in with you.
Well, I didn't even think about it this time, but next
Okay.
month we'll bring him in and
That'd be
introduce
good.
him and
Absolutely.
give his phone number to everybody.
I hear you. There you go. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, call him now.
Yeah.
Call him now. Coming up on the holidays. And so are people finally off the boats, or is it still warm enough that you're still having nonsense on the boats? Or are you still having to patrol the waters?
No,
much?
we're doing good here. In other parts of the state, people are still out because that's just what they do. But now around here, it's essentially done.
Because I've got a friend that fishes, and I mean, honestly and truthfully, he's on the water if there's
Right.
even a hint of fishing.
So we don't necessarily work boating. You know, when we're working boating in the summer, we go out and we may check some fishermen, but I mean, our main goal is boating safety.
Right.
During the fall and winter months, if we're out on the boat, then we're checking fishermen. You know, most fishermen are pretty safe. We don't have any issues out of them. Most of our boat accidents don't come from fishermen; they come from pleasure boats. So the fishermen
Drinking
are
and
pretty
driving
good. Yep.
on a lake, and I mean,
Yep.
or a river. And
Other than
I mean,
getting to where they're going, fishermen are, they're just trolling. They're just barely moving. So
I got you. So, at least that part of the season is
Yes.
kind of closing the door on that. And so we've had bow season. You pretty much can. I mean, bow season once it starts, you can hunt with a bow the entire
Correct. Yep.
deer season.
other than the end of this month. So the end of this month, let me look at the dates. That's when the juvenile hunt is.
Okay.
It'll be the 29th and 30th of October. That's Saturday and Sunday. All hunting is closed except to juveniles. So only
Okay.
juveniles can deer hunt that
And
weekend.
what is that? 18 and under?
It's youth 6 through 16.
Oh, through 16.
Yeah, 6
Okay.
through 16. As long as they haven't reached their 17th birthday, then they can still hunt the youth hunt.
Okay.
Now that doesn't mean like a 5-year-old can still hunt, but they can't hunt on the youth hunt. The youth hunt is specifically for 6 to 16. But let's say I have my 5-year-old, or I don't have a 5-year-old, but if I had a 5-year-old and I want to take them hunting, I just have to wait till the normal deer season opens.
Okay.
If they were mature enough and you wanted to take them hunting, let them hunt. My little boy's 6, and there's no way he's ready to go hunting yet. So
Right. Well, and see, and that's the thing. And some are, but
right,
you know,
some are and some aren't. So
Yeah, and my grandson's 6, and I think he would do okay. I don't know.
Right.
Well, and the thing is, though, if him and his dad go hunting, they're going to be hunting out in my front yard.
Right,
I mean, truth be told, and so the juvenile hunt, it's not like open fishing day. They do still have to have a license, right?
correct. Well, they're not required to have a license until you're 13. Once you turn 13, you have to have a license.
Oh, really?
So yeah, 6 through 12 for the juvenile hunt. Yeah, you don't have to have anything
Okay.
other than you gotta have hunter education once you turn 10.
Okay. So, well, very interesting. And I guess they can only get one deer, or is there a limit?
No, it's the same as everything. 3 per day. No more than $2. $1
Okay.
per day. So
Wow.
if a juvenile wanted to harvest both bucks on that weekend, they can kill one Saturday and Sunday, and then they're done with bucks for the season. So
Okay.
it counts towards their bag limit for the year.
Okay, well, and so you can get 2 bucks per season, and how many total deer can you get per season?
300 and something, I guess.
Really?
When you think about it, I
can
mean, bow season opens September 24th, I think.
Uh-huh.
So to October, November, December. I mean, that's
Yeah.
3 months plus a couple
So
weeks
you
in
can do 3 a
January.
day.
So that's 90 days times 3 deer a day. That's
Wow.
270
Okay.
plus. I mean,
That's a hunter.
yeah.
that's a hunter.
If somebody were to do that, I would be extremely impressed.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
I think on average, our average deer hunter, I mean, it's like kills 1.3 deer a year. When you take the number of hunters we have, licensed hunters, divided by the total harvest that we have logged, it's not that much.
Okay, because
So-
you've got to figure too. Most people who hunt, most people who I know that hunt, they harvest the meat and they put it in their freezer,
Right.
and they don't have 10 freezers.
Yeah.
They might have one, they might have 2, but once their freezer's full, they're kind of,
Right.
You know.
And people most people, like for a family of 4, about 3 to 5 deer a year. If normally, sometimes more. It just depends. I've got a friend here in the county that, that's what his family depends on is deer meat, and that's what they don't depend on it, but that's what they use.
Yeah.
They don't go to the store. They use deer meat. That's what they use all year. So yeah. And they luckily do it on their own, as far as cutting it up, because it's expensive. If you take a deer to a
process it,
processor,
yeah.
you're looking at $125 a deer. So
Yeah,
you kill 3 deer a day, that's you're up
that's
to
expensive.
$375, $400 right there.
Well, see, and that's
So-
one thing too that people talk about saving money by hunting. Only if you process it yourself
Right.
is it a savings.
And it's a lot of work.
It really is. And now my husband, he grew up up north, and deer hunting is just a big thing. And so he can field dress and prep, and I've seen him do it. But he may not do it quite as pretty as the processor, but he totally gets it done. And if you've got a meat grinder, you can, grind it up, make your hamburger out of it, whatever you want. But why do they call it hamburger? That's just a random question.
For a cow,
it's like,
ham?
Yeah.
Ham,
I mean, think about that. Somebody knows the answer to that. Put that up in the comments, because that just hit me.
That's a good Google question, whoever's out there.
you feel kind of funny calling it's ground venison. So I don't know. We'll call it, I don't know.
I don't know. I just call it burger, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Ground meat.
Yeah.
So you can grind it up and process it that way. But, very interesting. So deer season, we're right in the middle of it, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, in the middle of bow season.
In the middle of
With that being said, though, like the weather's cooling off a lot, so the deer are moving more.
Right.
Me and my little boy went to the farm. He wanted to ride four-wheelers the other day, and we were riding them, and we jumped some deer up, and one was a good buck, and he kept, every time we go somewhere, I'd see him. He just kept, we followed him, and he finally ran into some woods, and when I drove by where he went in, you could smell him. So it's called the rut. They put off this scent, and it smells not horrible, but you can just smell it. Yeah. And you could, oh man, when I drove by, you could smell it, and I mean, I was 20 yards from him, and that's a telltale sign that they're starting to mate. They're getting excited, and they're going to start running more. I almost smoked a doe this morning coming in here. So
I had two right out in front of me.
That was going to be my public service announcement. Start looking for deer, because it is their mating season, and they are running wild. They don't care. It's not like people where we're supposed to stop and look. They don't stop and look. They'll run out straight in the middle of the road and just stop and look at you,
Yeah, what are you doing here?
Yep.
Well, and I mean, again, I had two run out in front of me this morning, and you just got to be more aware. It seems like I have deer that try to hit my car every time I leave the house, but because I've got a lot of them. But right now, particularly, they're just more aggressive, so be very careful.
They are, and you're going to, unfortunately, I mean, like I said, there's so many of them, like we talked about earlier, it's inevitable. You're gonna hit one eventually if you drive enough. So
yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. I'm saying, as you say that, I'm thinking, have I ever hit a deer?
I think I probably
I think I probably have, but something, I have hit twice geese.
Oh yeah.
I'm not kidding. My husband, he's like, I've never in my life, had a goose fly in front of me, but you've hit them.
You've
twice.
hit two, yeah.
Yeah, one in high school, and then one when I got older. But yeah, I basically flew right at my car. It seemed like. But anyway,
I've hit two deer, but actually I haven't hit them. They've hit me.
Yeah,
so
I got you.
They've run into me.
They just ran right into you.
I've had them run into the side of my vehicle. So.
But well, if you have any questions for Kaleb Stratton, he is here. He is District Sergeant for the Wildlife Resource Office, and we do have a new Wildlife Resource Officer who he promises to introduce us to next visit. Let me go ahead and pause, and let's take a break here. We're going to go ahead and talk about Barry and Rebecca Ridgers with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. It's so funny. I teach the audio video class at Greenbrier High School, and so I've got Barry coming by, I think Thursday this week, to talk to my students about doing the virtual reality videos that he does, where he goes through and walks through a home, so he can put that video up and nobody has to walk through your home to see your home. People are buying houses now. The fervor has kind of quietened down for buying and selling right now, but it's still a hot property up here in Robertson County, and we have people moving in from out of state who want to live here because they like a lot of things about not just Tennessee but Robertson County in particular. And they'll look at those virtual reality home tours, and they'll move here without ever walking through a house. They'll buy a house online, and that is amazing to me. But he's going to come and show my students how he does that. But if you want to learn more about it, if you want to learn more about realty in general, Barry and Rebecca say, hey, come join their team. They're always looking for good realtors that are looking for something new to do. That's how they both got into it. Rebecca was in the radiology field, and somebody said, you would make a great realtor. And she says, well, that looks interesting. And I mean, she's been at it a long time now, one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. And they are from up in Cross Plains. They are one of us. They have been there for over 20 years. And Barry came out of a marketing background. He was a vice president of a marketing company in Nashville and went full-time with real estate. about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and they're just a great team. They're great to work with and great friends. If you want to know more, whether it be maybe you're wanting a career change, maybe you've got something to buy, maybe you're wanting to sell, be sure and talk to somebody that's local. And Barry and Rebecca Richards, again, they specialize in Robertson County properties, but they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line. In Kentucky, you can contact them at sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or buy, B-U-Y, robertsoncounty.com, or just give them a call, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. And when you call them, please always let them know that U-Turn sent you. Kaleb Stratton's in the house. What else do we need to talk about? Where's my buddy Paul Brady? He normally is on here on my comments. And I'm like, where's Paul? He almost always has a question for you. But anyway, I don't know where he is. But anyway.
Did you see your answer to the...
Okay, he says the ground beef started in Hamburg, Germany. Thank you, Cassandra. I love that. It's so funny.
No idea.
People... Google knows everything. It was so funny. I was at my mother's and was dusting some encyclopedias she still has, and said something about an encyclopedia. My grandson goes, "What is that? What's an encyclopedia?" And I said, "Well, it's
the 70s Google."
Exactly. I said, before there was Google, there were encyclopedias. Yeah. And it was really funny. But anyway, what else we need to talk about, sir?
So this Saturday, let's see, what is today's date? This coming Saturday will be in Cheatham County. We're having a hunter ed class, so the 22nd. Mm-hmm. It's a field day, meaning what you will do is you can take the online hunter education class, and then you'll come to this field day. It's for kids who want to do just an online / in-person class. It's like an abbreviated class. Mm-hmm. But you do most of the studying and stuff on your own online, and then you come to this field day. And it'll be held at the, I think it's called the 24 Church in Pleasant View.
Okay.
Right on 41A. But you can go to our website and click on Hunter Education, tnwildlife.org. Again, tnwildlife.org. Click on Hunter Education and sign up for the class if you want to take it. There's not a lot of people that have signed up for it. So
it wouldn't be too great. So, and tell them again the requirements age-wise for that class. What would be the age?
Well, so you have to be at least 9 years old in order to take it.
Right.
And everybody born after January 1st, 1989 has to have hunter education before you can hunt in Tennessee.
Okay.
I lied. That's boater education. Anybody born after January 1st, 1969 has to have hunter education.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, everybody born after 69 has to have hunter education.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
So, and I said 89, but that's for boater education.
Okay.
And we just taught a boater education class at the library this past weekend.
Okay.
It was a huge turnout. We had over 18 people there.
Wow.
And that's one of the, I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but that's one of the larger, actually the guy my boating officer buddy that taught the class, he said that's the largest class he's ever taught, and he's been doing it for 15 years. So,
oh, wow. Well, especially this time of the year, because that seems like that would be something that you would do in the spring and not in the fall.
The reason was because it was for the Springfield fishing team.
Oh,
so they were required to have it. So we had some fishing team members from other places as well, Sycamore and Springfield. So. Okay. But it was good. So their requirement for the fishing team is you got to have that class.
Oh, okay.
So,
I was wondering.
Smart, yeah.
I was wondering if it was something like, you get a ticket on the water and you can either pay it or go to school.
That it is.
Was that part of it too?
That this class was not, but yes, that's something that we.
Okay.
It is when you get a boating violation on the water, and we can talk about that real quick.
Okay.
But when you get a boating violation on the water, especially with me, I try to give everybody a way out. I mean, paying tickets is no fun, but at the same time, you got to learn a lesson. So I try to give everybody a way, not necessarily out, but it's time or money. That's how we learn lessons, I think, by spending your time or spending your money. You learn not to do stuff.
Yep.
And Joel Perry and I, he's the one that said this, and I've kind of adopted it myself. But time or money, we're getting one or the other, time or money.
That's awesome.
So that's anytime you get a boating violation, especially on the river, a life jacket ticket, I offer you to be able to take the boater safety class.
Okay.
And your ticket could be dismissed fully or dismissed at a dismissal cost is what it's called.
Okay.
So.
Very good. Anyway. Okay. Well, that's awesome.
But it is kind of like traffic school for boating.
I kind of figured when you said that, I thought, that sounds like something that I would end up having to go to.
And we do the same thing for hunters. If there's a hunting violation, that's a safety issue. But you've done something hunting that's just not very safe, and you get a citation for it. Same thing. We offer you to go to this hunter education class.
Okay.
A lot of people think the hunter education class is is teaching you how to hunt, like what to do, and it's not necessarily that. It's about teaching you how to be an ethical and safe hunting safely and being an ethical hunter. So we don't necessarily go out there and show you how to track deer, all this kind of stuff, but we show you how to ethically harvest the animal, as far as shot placement and what's best for the animal. And then mainly it's all about firearm safety and weapon safety out there in the field.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing that class is about.
I think that everybody needs to take it, maybe take a refresher course.
Absolutely.
And not just take, because it's...
we get complacent. We always do. So.
I'm not sure that we ought not have to take, extra driving instruction and things like that.
Amen. Yes.
I'm and as I'm about to turn 60, I'm saying because there are things that I need to brush up on that I forget.
Oh yeah.
After all these years, so and of course I know everybody else is like, "Shut up, Laverne."
Yeah.
But well, anyway. Oh, and Paul is with us. He
slept in this morning.
Well, no. What it was is last week when Lee Marie was on, it wasn't up on my Facebook page, and so to watch, he was going to WSGI's page and watching.
Oh, so that's probably where it was.
Yeah, because we've got the camera feed for WSGI is going, and you can also see that on the app. You can go to the WSGI app and watch, or you can watch on my Facebook page. We always just do it on my Facebook page because I've been around a while. Yeah, and so I got a few people that are connected to me. So it's just we just try to get it out there any way we can. So we get the show. You've got it terrestrially on the radio signal on WSGI. If you're in your car, trying to explain the way we used to do radio to my students is hysterical because they just look at me like I am from a foreign land when I talk about some of the old stuff. It's really funny. Yeah. It really puts it in perspective. But anyway, so Paul, we're glad that you're okay, brother. I was worried about you. Well, what's so funny, I accidentally blocked him one day.
Oh no!
And I was like, "Where's Paul?" Well, we couldn't figure out what was going on, and because they're at church with me, and they do all kinds of. They're just dear friends of mine, and we volunteer together for stuff. But we figured out I blocked him accidentally. I don't know how in the world it happened, but I was like, "Oh no, my biggest fan," and I blocked him. Yeah. So what else you got going on, Caleb?
That's about it. Just I was just looking at the calendar. So the next time I'll be in will be November 21st, which is the week of Thanksgiving. So
can you believe that? Oh my goodness!
So a month away is Thanksgiving.
I mean, I know. We're in a minute. It'll be Halloween and Thanksgiving, and then Christmas. I mean, truly, it just zooms by. Yes, it just zooms by, crazy. But
with that being said, so I mean, between now and then, pretty much the next time I've come in, I mean, we are going to be in full swing deer season.
You bet.
Because the first weekend of November will be November 5th. That's the opening day of muzzleloader season. Okay. That's probably one of our most popular times for hunters to be out, those first 2 weeks in November. Okay. And then the Saturday before Thanksgiving, which will be the 19th, that's when gun season opens. Oh. That's when every Tom, Dick, and Harry's out there trying to kill a deer. So
when you're talking about bow season and stuff, my son, the veteran, he is doing bow. He doesn't do bow season. He does the, what do you call the
crossbow?
Crossbow. I couldn't think of what it's called, but he's got a crossbow, and so I'm half expecting him to be out in my yard. You can use a crossbow just like you use any kind of bow, right?
You can now. Yeah, it
kind of seems not the same.
These new compound bows aren't. They're an actual bow, but they're so modernized now. I mean, you can. It's nothing like the old bow and arrow.
Right.
So it's that's a pretty much a lost skill that you don't ever see anybody doing much anymore.
With
just a stick and a string and an arrow. Yeah. No sights. Just going out there and doing it. With compound bows, that was like cheating back in the day, and then they made crossbows, and we outlawed crossbows unless you were handicapped. For handicapped people, we let them use crossbows, and then they just opened it all up to everybody.
Like, oh well, we're just getting lazy.
Because these crossbows
losing our skill.
These new crossbows are unbelievable.
Yeah,
what they're like.
Yeah, so. he's got some ridiculous contraption.
That's what I call them. A contraption. Yeah, I can't even use one.
Well, but once he's played with all the stuff in the military, it's just like ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, once they've been exposed to that, all the things that they have to have, it's hysterical. But well, very good. And so I'm expecting you to introduce me to the newbie next week.
Well, I've already put them in my calendar to remind me to bring them next month.
Absolutely. I don't know if Bill's out there or not, but
I thought I heard something out there.
but if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and do my
I'll
break
look.
and see if he's here, and if he is, then I will see you next time.
not, I'll come
and if
sit
not,
down.
come back and talk to me. Bill should be coming on in here in just a minute, but we've been talking with Kaleb Stratton. He is our district sergeant for the Wildlife Resource Office, and we're waiting for Bill Jones to come sliding in here. He'll be here in just a minute. We're going to talk a little bit about history of school buses and those kinds of things, because this is School Bus Safety Week. And we were hoping to get Mr. Heinerman in here, who is the director of our transportation department for Robertson County Schools. And God bless him, he's having to drive. Now, he loves to drive a bus. But, I mean, everybody's having to hit the bus driver's seat right now, including my husband, who's the security and safety coordinator for the transportation department, because they're so short-handed on buses. Come on back in and sit down, Caleb. But they're so short-handed on bus drivers right now. So if you're interested, get in touch. Go on Robertson County Schools and apply for being a bus driver, being a monitor, whatever. That is a job that they really need you to come in and help them out with. And we need teachers. There's just so much need across the board when it comes to jobs in our school system. But again, Josh Heinerman was tied up with the buses this morning, unable to come in. And also, too, normally this would have been Chief Jason Head's slot, and he's out of town. So we were trying to get Mr. Heinerman in here. A couple of things. You had mentioned something about Judge Joel Perry when you were talking, and I still had my ad to do. I got sidetracked. Can't imagine that. But you mentioned Judge Perry. Recovery court graduation's coming up a week from Thursday. And so Judge Perry and the girls will be in here on Thursday to talk all about that. So they're going to take the entire hour on Thursday to kind of unpack things with recovery court, the upcoming graduation. That is something that I've gone to the last 3, I think. And I was thinking that now I'm teaching, it's going to be very hard because I'm not going to get to go. Well, no, we're taking a field trip.
Oh,
and
cool.
I'm bringing my students
cool.
to one of my audio video classes is coming, because they're going to do documentaries as part of what we're doing with audio video class. And so one of the classes decided they wanted to do something about the drug industry, about how it's gotten to what it is. And I said, why don't we go to the recovery court graduation and talk to Judge Perry particularly, and if any of the graduates want to talk to us too.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think it's going to be just a profound thing for them to witness. And I'm already, preaching to him, saying, you've got to behave. You cannot act crazy.
Yeah.
This is a very respectful thing, because one of the things they do at recovery court graduation is they have a memorial, and they have a candlelit ceremony that is just takes your heart, and just because the thing that you see, and this is something I know you've seen being in law enforcement like you are, it knows no stranger. When you look at the images of those who have been lost to drugs and alcohol, I mean, it looks like your neighbor, it looks like your relatives, it looks like your grandmother, it looks like your grandfather,
Right.
It looks like your preacher, it looks like everybody that you see. It knows no stranger. And it's breathtaking. It really is, when you see faces that you could sit across the table from on that memorial. And I told the students, I said, you've got to be good. Now, the other side of the coin, my other class, we've got that very meaningful thing. My other class decided to do a documentary on Bigfoot. So we're covering the spectrum, both sides. Yeah, both sides of it. And so we're going to do a field trip at my house.
Yeah.
And the guy who's the scout, I can't remember his name, but I want to say Bill. I can't remember. But anyway, Lee Marie set this interview up for me. His scouts go looking for Bigfoot, and he's like the authority on it. So he's going to come out, and we're going to interview him out in my woods, because apparently that's where he's done a lot of his Bigfoot exploits and stuff. So it's going to be interesting.
Out in your area, or?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They said that, but I guess before, I don't know, they've been up on the hill, and I mean, we don't care.
Yeah.
But they've done some Bigfoot hunting. So if you're free the 25th, next Tuesday, you need to come by.
Yeah.
So seriously, put that on your calendar, because we're going to be there midday, and I'm going to have a bunch of students there, and we're going to be doing Bigfoot stuff. And so you need to come by too, and we can maybe interview you about whether or not, have you ever seen anything unusual that you can't explain? So I wonder what happened to Bill, by the way. Bill Jones, we're expecting him in here. I hope he's okay. He invited him to come on in here at 7:30, but I don't know where he is. Have you? So what about? Let me do my ad, and then
Yeah, go ahead.
think about if you've got any Bigfoot stories or anything that's just unusual out there, especially with Halloween coming up. Let's talk about Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center. We're going to have Amy will be in here the last Thursday of October because just a minute after that will be the big sampler that they have at the community or the center. I couldn't think of what they call it. And so she is one of the folks that heads that up. And so she's going to come in and talk about that. And she'll, of course, talk about all the things they have going on at Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center. I got up this morning, used my CBD oil because I use that every day to help me with my arthritic pain. It is incredible. It has helped me tremendously. And it might help you. And that's what do they do during the off season? What do they do whenever things aren't growing? Well, they take care of all their CBD products and they have them all the time. They always have kind of a lot of fun craft ideas and like aprons and different things that you might need for your house. They have all kinds of fun things. That's why they have gift and gardening store in their name. They also have beautiful pansies right now, the fall color that you can get. They've got some really beautiful purple cabbage that's like a winter cabbage that you can put in your garden that I've got right now. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love that. And of course, then you can go through the greenhouse and get some great house plants. All kinds of fun stuff happening at Corbin Creek right now and throughout the winter. And if you want to have some Christmas decorating done, they do a lot of Christmas decorating. And if you want to get on that list and have them come out and work with you, well, then you need to get there and talk to them about that. And we're going to say bye to Kaleb. We'll see you later. Bill has made it on in here, and I'll talk to you later, Kaleb. But real quickly, the hours for Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center, they are open right now. Well, they're not open at this moment, but they've adjusted their hours just a bit because it's cooling down. So they're open 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday they're there from 1 to 4. So I've been telling you they're going to adjust those hours, but again, Monday through Saturday they're open 10 to 4. Sunday they're open from 1 to 4, but that's Corbin Creek. Go by and see them today, and make sure you tell them all right, Mr. Bill Jones, what you doing, my friend? No, you're fine. I was talking with Kaleb, and I just was a little worried about you, but it looks like I threw something at him this morning at the last minute. Look at this. He brings me pictures. I mean, that's what you were doing. You were trying to get this together. That's just it. You were working. You were doing show prep. That's what he was doing. He was doing show prep for us. And this is, I don't know if I'm going to hold this up for the cameras to see. This is when now?
Early 50s.
And that's a bus.
Springfield High School in the parking lot there. Mm-hmm. Bunch of kids going to a ball camp. They used to take us to ball camps in summer, and
so
all those
are you
kids
in
went
this
on
picture?
that bus.
Are you in this picture?
No.
Okay, so
There's some of I may be. I don't know. Some of my friends in there, and people younger than me, are in that picture.
But that's cool. That's cool. But it's just the.
I don't think so.
I guess the thing is, when we talk about bus safety and all the things that we need to keep in mind in regards to our most precious treasures, which we say all the time in regards to those kiddos that are on those buses, they've been around a long time. The history of it.
Not that long.
Really? When did they start school bus transportation?
Here,
you think?
My mother was born in 1920, and she said the school bus would come by her house. Well, that would be in the 30s. And it was red, and it came out of a Dairyville.
Oh.
And you had to pay for it, the school bus ride. But before that, they had bus wagons. They had wagons and with sides on it, and they'd pick up the children and carry them to school.
Oh, you're kidding.
And then, the earliest school buses around early 1900s, 1915, somewhere like that, they started making school buses for that particular purpose. But around this area, it was in the 30s, 40s that started seeing school buses around Robeson County. They didn't have any uniform color and no laws, no nothing, no seat belts, kids stood up mostly as many as they could get in the bus.
Stacked them in like cords of wood.
And many times the school bus drivers were teenagers.
Oh, wow.
There's one instance.
Not now.
I remember reading about as a bus stopped at a road crossing, and the driver, 17 years old, he gets out and it was in a fog. So he stops and opens the door and gets out and listens, and he doesn't hear anything, gets back in the bus, and the train hits him, and the T-bones the side of the bus.
Oh, my
So,
word.
you didn't have much rules and regulations. And then rules came along just recently about, color. They decided that, some professor decided up in East Coast that yellow would be the best color for a school bus to recognize it. And then, all the rules, laws, and everything came about fairly, I would say, in my generation. So they're, it's funny to have to open the doors and stop to listen for the train, not only look, but to have to listen for it. And that, of course, now they stop on 4-lane highways. They stop. Used to, I remember when I was a kid, drive around past the bus.
Well, yeah,
when they
exactly.
stopped,
You don't now, and I'm telling you that stop arm, the stop arm violation thing is a big deal, and they are on the look for you. I heard them talking about, because my husband's with the transportation department, and he was telling me about just a really bad violation where the guy went around the bus. I mean, it sounds awful, but he said they went around, they took out a mailbox going around the bus.
Oh.
But there's not a whole lot they can do about it because, you
No.
could bring them, unless you got an image of, and they do imagery and all that kind of thing, but they would have to have a picture of him sitting behind the wheel to do anything about it. So, I mean, the police, but what they are doing is they are kind of keeping a list of the areas where it happens the most, and police are going to be on the guard and really, coming after you for this stuff. Don't do it, guys. I mean, these little kids, good land, are you?
Well, before
it just drives me nuts.
this is unusual, I read, before yellow became the rule, I hate to say this, some school buses that carried black students had to have black stripes on them.
Are you kidding me?
No, that's awful. I just can't believe some of the things that people did way back. It seems so bad to us now. It didn't to them then.
Horrifying.
But anyway, I've seen pictures of old school buses. It's just trucks with a little wood on the side or body set on top of the truck. And Bluebird came about. Everybody's heard of Bluebird. That's all you see on buses hardly anymore. They came about in the early 1950s, and they were made up in Indiana. But they had the corner of the market there for a while. But I remember, I went to school in 1950, first grade. And I remember the school buses, but not in town. They were all in the county, picking up students and all. And everybody loved to ride the bus because it was wild and woolly. You could shout and holler and scream, jump up and down. So not anything like today. And, of course, they started to put these rails along the side to reinforce them. They had done so many things to make them much safer now. But the majority of bus wrecks back when the beginning were trains hitting them, crossing railroad tracks. Then you began to read about in old newspapers and things, cars hitting them, but trains was the first big deal with school buses because it killed a lot of students usually. And they didn't have any cell phones, anything reported, so it was a while before anybody got there.
Right.
And so a lot of people died. But it's interesting to think about school buses and what we have now. We got a great fleet of school buses. You've seen over the school bus garage. And I'm sure somebody knows a lot more about it than I do for Robertson County. There comes a school bus up the street now.
That may be Josh. That may be Mr. Heinerman coming in here. He may come. He honestly and truthfully.
He picks up a student around the corner, goes around the corner of one of those new houses.
Okay.
I think it's just one student.
I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't come bouncing in here too, because we, and he may come on in here and help with this conversation.
And you didn't at first. They didn't have to have special licenses or anything. You just find a farm boy, drive a bus.
Hey, come on, let's go drive the bus.
Drive a bus.
Well, then that has been one of the things that, because of the terrible accident that happened. It was in either Chattanooga or Knoxville, where they had and it was somebody that was maybe 20 years old, and because there for a while you only had to be 18 and above, I guess, or maybe 20. I don't know. Much younger. Right now you have to be 25 to drive a bus, and that's one of the things that has really hurt them in driving recruitment, because there's a lot of young people that would be great bus drivers and would love to do it, that are responsible, but because you had one knucklehead that, did something so horrible and got so many, there was a bunch of kids got killed in that. I can't remember all the details. And I think he was on his phone. I mean, it's something. And so because of that, you had the law passed, and I may have this a little bit wrong, but because of something like that, you had the law passed where you had to be of a certain age, be 25, and you also can't have your phone out at all. Well, that means that if you're driving a route that you have no idea of the addresses, you're not even supposed to use Google Maps. And so that's something something I've talked with Senator Roberts about, saying that can y'all address this, because y'all need to take a look at that, because you need the digital mapping would be fabulous for these buses, because you got so many people having to fill in on routes they don't have a clue
what's going on.
Yeah, and that, you talk about a safety hazard. Good land, you got drivers out there in the dark, don't know where they're going, trying to pick up students, and you're supposed to read the list. It's messed up. But anyway,
I remember reading about a court case, Brown versus Brown, 1954, where they didn't allow black students to ride the same bus as the white students, and that changed that. And but in the South, it took longer to change than it did up north. But a whole lot of things have changed with school buses. And I just wonder in the future what we'll be like 50 years from now.
I don't know. I mean, well, yeah, because with the more availability of the intelligent vehicles that drive you and get you around, will it ever get to a place where there's a vehicle that goes and picks up kids and doesn't
probably be done on the internet?
But I mean,
schooling,
well, you think they won't even go to schools?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. I think kids need that socialization.
They need that
so bad.
I know they do. But there's a lot of homeschooling done now.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever get to where we don't have our school systems.
Especially people out in the boonies. There won't be much boonies anymore with much housing going on, but especially those. But
well, even homeschool kids see the necessity of getting kids together and socializing. We have Chet that meets up at the Madison Church of Christ, where I work part-time, but that's a homeschool network of people that come in and get together. So I don't know, but we're talking with Bill Jones. This is National Bus Safety Week, so we just say please take extra notice of those big yellow buses, and especially the kiddos that are riding them, and be mindful of the stop arm violation and how they are going to come after you if you go around a bus with its stop sign out. And that includes up on 41 and 431, known as what do we call those here in town? Memorial and Tom Austin?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm the old traffic reporter. I'm 431 and 41. But so those multi-lane roads, even if you've got a bus stopping coming towards you and you're thinking, well, I can keep going. The only way you can keep going if there's a bus across from you on a 5-lane road that is stopped with the stop sign out is if there is a median, a grassy median, or a barrier. Otherwise, you're supposed to stop, and that's just all there is to it. So that's the law, y'all. So what else you got for us, Mr. Jones?
Well, I remember I'm in the Kiwanis Club. Kiwanis Club bought these little tin policemen. There's a picture of a policeman standing with his hand up. Put them on the square uptown. So during school hours, they would set them out so people would know to stop if the children were walking across the school. Because in town, all of us walked to school. We didn't ride buses, but of course you don't need to if you're in town. But they put those out, and if you ever find one nowadays, they're very valuable.
Oh yes.
But anyway,
absolutely.
I remember they were so effective. They started putting them out in Cross Plains, Orlando, Whiteout, all around. Because they did work, and they'd put them out in the middle of the street, and people stopped and have to go around them, and sometimes put them on the corner, sometimes in the middle of the street. And I remember the one uptown on Main Street, going to Main Street School, they had it in the middle of the street. So you definitely saw them, and you slowed down or stopped and looked for the kids. So, there's been a lot of innovation in school buses, rules and laws, which make it much, much safer, because if you have a wreck in a school bus, mostly multiple people involved, and children, and So we've come a long way.
Absolutely, and just be extra mindful of it. And if you have any questions for Mr. Jones, he is our local historian. Paul Rainey is saying he started following you because you've been on the show. He started following you on social media, and he's been enjoying your stories and your pictures.
I put something about history every day, every morning on there.
You're fun to follow
Facebook.
and read for sure. And you need to reach out to him with his email, and he'll send you the difficult scriptures. How do you word it?
Oh, difficult scriptures explained.
Difficult scriptures explained. I was
Lot of
trying to think
words
about it. It's very interesting stuff. I went, by the way, did you have a copy of that yet?
No.
You know, I mentioned that to you.
Oh, yeah.
The Didache or the Didache or...
Didache.
Didache is the way the professor that I've been studying with says it.
You
But
know,
then
I
as
don't
I've
know
been
how to
looking
pronounce
into it...
I read it, but I don't know how to
Didache.
pronounce it, yeah.
Didache, as I've heard it pronounced too, but the Didache is a document that was from the early church, and basically they believe historically. That's yours. I've got
Okay.
many copies of it. But anyway, history believes that this is what was passed around whenever you were trying to show people what the way was all about, because that's what they called following Christ. Was, are you a follower of the way? There was a way you could either take this way or that way, the way to life or
Yeah.
the way to death. And so they had this is stuff they would memorize, and it takes about 25 minutes to read it, and it's just basic guidelines. It's excerpts from the Sermon on the Mount, talks about baptism, talks about the Lord's Supper, about church leadership, different things like that. And it's fascinating because they believe early things said that they thought it was, the early estimates were that it was written 100 to 150 years after Christ. Estimates now are that it was actually written, right after Christ in like 50, 60, somewhere in there. So who knows, but it is fascinating. Let me go ahead and do my last break. I need to talk about Veterans Motorplex. We've still got some racing going on, guys. Racing will happen all the way up until, well, they finish up in November. The racing season will finish up. And if you want to follow them on social media, go to Highland Rim Speedway, and you will find out about Veterans Motorplex and all the things that are going on. They're real good about putting up interviews and kind of letting you know what's going on and the schedule and all of the things. If you go and check it out right now, they've got some stuff on from this past weekend that you can go and see. It's just a lot of fun. I had no idea how much fun the races were until I went a little while back, and I had just the best time. And we're going to go again before the season is over, but it is a great time. It's at Old Highland Rim Speedway, which is at 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier. If you want to go, they got a great ticket price. $40 will get 8 people in. That's 6 minor children and 2 adults for just $40. Got a great concession stand, all kinds of fun activities for the family while you're there. They do a lot of fundraising. It's just they're wonderful in the community, wonderful supporters of this program and so many other things in the community. Go and check them out. If you've not been to the races in a while, you just don't know what you're missing. Again, it's at 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier. And the gates open every Saturday night at 4 p.m. Racing starts at 6 p.m. And when you go by there, please always let them know U-Turn sent you. Bill Jones is in the house, and we're talking about the best safety and just anything else that comes to our mind. What else you got there, my friend?
No, I remember going to the bus station in Nashville. So I like the airport, because, you remember the old saying they used to say, the advertising, ride the bus, leave the driving to us. And
Oh, yeah.
and they advertise people going on cross country on vacations on buses that sort of like airplanes are now. And I remember the old bus station in Nashville, and you had chairs in there. You sit and wait on the bus, and they pulled in sort of catty-cornered to the station there. And I don't think I've ever been to a bus station after that. But we had our bus stations around here all over Springfield. But one I remember the most, the G.S. Moore building up on Main Street. It's on the corner of 7th and Main.
Yeah.
That used to be a bus station.
Oh, really?
And if you look on Main Street toward that office building, on the right's a big wide door. And then if you turn left on 7th Avenue and go down the back of that building onto 7th Avenue, another wide door. I remember the buses turning in on Main Street, going through that door. They would stop in there, let the passengers out and on, and then come out the other door.
Oh,
when I was a kid, I thought that was so neat going inside a building.
Okay.
And they also, the next big bus station I remember was at the Colonial Hotel, which is on the corner of 5th Avenue and Main Street. and they if you looking at it at the front, the bus station was down the hill on the left side of the building, and it had an awning where you could get off and on. And now, as a drive-in, used to be a bank, window there, but that's where you went in and out of the building to get in and out of the weather, and that's where the Greyhound bus station was. Then it's been all over the place, several places in town. It was down on South Main at the Milady Beauty Shop at one time. It was, let's see, where Gupton Motors used to be on Fifth Avenue Hill. They were there. That was the latter part of the time a bus stopped here, but then they stopped running. But they used to, a lot of people used the bus here that worked in Nashville, and they would ride the bus back and forth. So we had a big bus traffic at one time, and all that's changed. Now we'll go to cars that don't have gas, or maybe in the air one of these days. But buses was very convenient. The first school bus I remember reading about was 1913, and then in the 20s they started getting serious about school buses. And like my mother told me, she said, I just remember it being red. They came by the house and picked them up, and you had to pay for it. But I guess maybe some didn't, but I think back then Main Street schools, you had to. It was a public school, but the People's Tucker School, which is now where the middle school is, you had to pay for it. It was a private school. So if you wanted to go there by bus, you had to pay a bus driver to take you and pay for the school, which my grandmother could not afford all her children. She had 4 of them, so she sent one at a time.
Oh, how funny.
The older one got older, and the next one, and the next one. My mother was the last one, so the last part of her school was at Main Street. At Springfield, where Springfield Middle is now, used to be Springfield High School.
Okay.
But, buses, I remember reading one newspaper article that said, well, the truant officer's job, this is 1920s, is going to be going by the wayside because the buses are picking up the kids in the country now, and they were coming to school where before they weren't. A truant officer would have to go out there and find them and see why. So the buses, they thought, would take the truant officer's job away. That didn't happen.
Oh, there's going to always be kids that
do they have them
school.
now? I don't know if they have truant officers or not.
Well, no, it's just
Probably police.
I don't know how that works, but they definitely will pursue
somebody
you.
on the internet
A social worker or somebody's going to come
Yeah.
knocking on your door if you're not getting your kids to school.
I
And
remember it
the
was a lot
parents
of
are
fun.
held responsible.
They'd
Yeah.
take us to trips, and I remember we went down to Tullahoma to what was it, Arnold Engineering Center on a school bus, and the windows flapped open, and it was hot, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We were yelling and screaming, and I don't know how a bus driver made it.
Oh, I
all
remember my
that.
bus driver, my bus days too.
Yeah.
I was one of
No.
those kids that rode the bus. I was the first one on, the last one off, because I lived way out in the county. I
Yeah.
lived almost into the next county. We
Yeah.
lived very close to the county line. And so I was on the bus a long time. I got in more trouble on the bus. Oh,
Now they got
heavens.
the little flashing lights on the top, and it's painted with a school bus number on the top, I think, in a white paint with
Yeah.
a number. And it's standard yellow boxes with black writing. They found that was more, when I was in retail business, I used to use my ads yellow and black because I read that about how it's more observable in that color than it is anything else. So I started using that. It did seem to work a little better. But, so many things. They've got GPSs now on the bus. They've got two-way radios. It's really sort of neat. And the bus drivers are paid very well now.
Oh, yeah. That's, by the way, do you need a job? They
Yeah.
need. That's the reason the reason Mr. Heineman's not in here today is because we're short bus drivers.
Now, do they
And,
all have monitors, bus monitors?
Well, they try, but
Yeah.
not always. I mean,
Okay.
there's
I didn't know.
from time to time. This is like my husband got a message last night. They needed him to drive this morning, and it was a route he was not familiar with. And his first question is there a monitor? Because that at least helps you.
If he was my school bus driver, a monitor, I'd be good.
Yeah, well, it's not that. It is to make sure, okay, turn here. Because
Yeah,
when you're not using GPS, you've got this sheet and you're going, okay, where do I turn? And you're trying to drive a bus. It helps
Yeah.
if you've got a monitor that's guiding you. And so it was, he gets to work, if he has something like that happen, he gets to work at least an hour early just so he can go through
Yeah,
this
go through.
unexpected schedule and try to see where
I was
to
able
go.
do it. Yeah.
So, but anyway, we need drivers. So you need to come be a school bus driver. And this is National School Bus Safety Week. We'll continue to talk about that throughout the week and a lot of other things. Bill John's always fun, always just awesome to come in here at the last minute when I call him. Thank you, sir. Any parting thoughts? We're in the last minute here.
No, I can't think of it.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll part with this and remind you that tomorrow is Mayor Billy Vogel's day. He'll be in here to talk to us. We've got just a great week of programs for you, and we're looking forward to the forum that I'm going to be a part of up in White House tomorrow. So that's happening tomorrow night at 6:30. The reception is at 7 o'clock as the forum. It's at the Billy S. Hobbs Community Center. So I hope you will join me for that. And then Devin O'Day and I get to host the chili cook-off that's happening at the center on Thursday night. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to hang out with my sis, and I'm probably going to try to get her via phone to talk about that later this week. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm thrilled to be back. Thank
Jordan
you.
with your
God
local
bless. Have a
news
wonderful
from
day.
WSGI. The thrill of victory, the agony of defeat, all played out under the relentless glare of Friday night lights. Pearl Cone 19, Greenbrier 6, Station Camp 21, Portland 14, East Robertson 29, Westmoreland 7, White House 49, Stewart County 14. A freeze warning being issued for tomorrow morning in Middle Tennessee. The National Weather Service says temperatures as low as 24 degrees are expected in the middle part of the state, and a freeze warning will be in place from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. More information can be found at forecast.weather.gov. A group of Middle Tennessee moms is looking for an end to incidents like the ones